How smart is a crow? As in, how smart is it compared to us? It's pretty smart. Crows are more intelligent than a 2-year-old human child. This may come as a surprise because crows aren't just kinda smarty pants. They're like the Mensa Society of birds. For example, they can plan ahead. In one study, researchers put a bunch of mealworms under a clear tube and placed a crow in front of it. The tube was initially blocked off so the bird couldn't get the tasty treat. But the crow figured out that if he pulled on a string hanging above him, it would tip the tube over and release the worms. And get this, they can also recognize themselves in the mirror. Researchers have known about this since 2019. But a new study showed that crows do. You won't just stand in front of a mirror and be like, hey, look at that. Or who's a handsome devil? They actually understand that the bird looking back at them is themselves. This is a big deal because it shows that they understand the concept of self. Not only that, but they have some idea of how their body moves and functions. The researchers found that crows who had more experience with mirrors were better at recognizing themselves. These crows didn't need to see the reflection move for them to realize it was them. They could recognize themselves by looking at their reflection standing perfectly still. But this isn't anything new for the crow. This is just their everyday life. Crows are super smart, but as cool as these studies are, they don't exactly break new ground. Scientists have been studying crow intelligence for a while now, but at the moment, there are other animals that are hogging the spotlight in the world of animal intelligence research. Animals like the humble octopus, which has recently been shown to have a kind of intelligence we generally associate with mammals. Here's the thing, most people think of animal intelligence as being comparable to that of a dog. Like, dogs are smart, they can learn tricks, they can figure out where things are and how to get to them. Some breeds of dog are even better at solving puzzles than some humans, but there are limits to what most animals can do. Octopuses, though, well, they can open jars, they can navigate mazes, they have excellent memories. Plus, they have excellent memories because they have excellent brains. Sure, an octopus's brain isn't as complex as ours, but it does have something we don't. An octopus has 9 different kinds of neurons, while our nervous system has 8. While the number of neurons alone isn't everything, scientists are finding that this difference might explain why they're such good problem solvers. An octopus's neurons work together differently from ours, so it processes information differently. Plus, it's got way more neurons dedicated to sensing things than we do. This means they feel things much more acutely than we do. Their sensory systems might work so well because each octopus neuron is like a little island. All the neurons are super spread out from each other. This means they don't rely on each other very much. So a damaged neuron won't affect the whole system. That makes the octopus brain flexible. It can change and adapt, and that's important when you're trying to solve problems and figure stuff out. Because of their flexibility, they can take on new challenges that they've never seen before and figure out how to tackle them. All thanks to their unique neurons. This adaptability is part of the reason they're such great escape artists. They're not doing it out of spite. They're just curious, and their brains are wired to explore the world around them. And this is just one animal, one small weird animal that doesn't even live on land. We haven't even talked about animals that hang out on land. Take, for example, the elephant, an absolute unit of a mammal that is known for its huge brain. Elephants have incredible memories. They can remember people they've met years ago and return their greeting. They can also recognize themselves in the mirror, which means they have a good sense of self and are super smart. But they're not the smartest land mammal. That title belongs to this guy. Chimpanzees are smarter than elephants, and we've known that for a while. We've seen them use sticks to fish for termites and leaves to soak up water. But we've also found that they can learn sign language. They can also plan ahead. They hoard food if they know they're going to be locked up somewhere without food the next day. Now, there was a debate about whether chimps use tools until about 10 years ago, but it turns out that not only do they use tools, they make them. Chimpanzees have been observed fashioning spears out of sticks to go fishing. They jab those bad boys into termite mounds and then pull them out with the termites already on them. That's a tool made and used for a specific purpose. They're basically little chimp engineers. But if we compare the chimp brain to a human brain, we can see that they're not that different. Well, except for the size. It's 300 cubic centimeters smaller than ours. And sure, there's more to intelligence than brain size, but it's a factor. This makes us wonder, what's the smallest brain capable of using tools? Well, it turns out it might belong to this guy, the bottlenose dolphin. Dolphins are famous for their grace in the water. They're sleek and fast and super cute, but they're also smart as whips. Dolphins are highly curious creatures. They like to figure out how things work, and this often involves taking things apart, which means they're pretty dexterous, able to manipulate objects in really precise ways. Dolphins in general have pretty good memories too. Researchers have found that they can remember their caretakers and call them out by name, so to speak. But the star of the dolphin brain is its massive cortex, the wrinkly outer layer responsible for a lot of higher order thinking. This is the part of the brain that helps us solve problems and do all sorts of higher order functions. It's pretty developed in a dolphin's brain, second only to a human's. But the dolphin brain is simpler than ours, in some ways, too. For example, there's only one type of neuron in the dolphin brain, whereas there are many types in ours. However, there are just more of these neurons, which could help dolphins perform complex tasks like catching prey. But what's most interesting is that the dolphin brain is pretty similar to the chimpanzee brain. Despite the fact that they're totally different kinds of animals, this makes scientists think that having a big cortex isn't everything when it comes to intelligence. You can just slap a bigger cortex on a chimp brain and suddenly it's a human brain. There has to be something else going on. So there's a lot of research into what exactly makes a brain smart. It's not always easy to tell. Sometimes we measure intelligence by comparing the brain to a brain we know is smart. Other times, we let the animals show us what they can do. When we observe animals in their natural habitat, we can see how they behave and learn what they know. Sometimes we even set up experiments to see how they think. Basically, we do all of this to find out what makes a brain smart, hoping that maybe along the way, we'll learn what makes ours smart, too. And it turns out, the answer might be a big, beautiful mess. Take the octopus, the chimp, the crow, and the dolphin. Each of these animals have very different brains, yet they're all considered smart. They're all capable of problem solving and using tools. So what's the secret? Well, it might just be that there isn't a secret. Maybe intelligence isn't one thing. Maybe it's a bunch of different things. The octopus might be smart because its neurons are like little islands. The chimp might be smart because its brain is kind of like ours. The dolphin might be smart because it has a big, wrinkly cortex. And the crow might be smart because it can recognize itself. All of these animals are smart in their own way. They have their own strengths and weaknesses. But that's okay, because intelligence isn't just about being good at everything. It's about being good at whatever it takes to survive and thrive in your environment. And that can look different for every animal. And we're definitely not done discovering what animals know and how smart they are. Just last year, it was discovered that honeybees can count. And who knows what we'll find out next. Maybe some of these animals know more than we do. Maybe they'll teach us something about our own brains. Either way, it's pretty clear that the animal kingdom is full of surprises. And the more we learn about it, the more we learn about ourselves. Speaking of learning, if you want to learn more about the amazing science behind brilliant courses like this, one of my favorites is called Demystifying Artificial Intelligence, which covers machine learning, deep learning, natural language, processing, and computer vision. It'll bring you up to speed on exactly how artificial intelligence works with interactive lessons and quizzes that really make it click.